In this week's parsha, Sarah Imenu is zoche to have a child. The malachim have to come though, in order to promise her a child, and guarantee her a child, and only then, through the merit of the malachim having coming down and promising, is a child able to come. When it comes to Rivka, who also had a challenge having children, there no malachim came. And in the Kerem Tzvi, the question is asked, what was unique about Sarah Imenu that she needed malachim, as opposed to by Rivka, where she was able to have children without having malachim? There's a Gemara in Chulin on Daf Zayin, which tells an amazing story about Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair was on his way to do Pidyon Shavuim, and he came to a river Gachi. And the river said to him, I'm not letting you go past. And he said, open, divide, so that I can go through. And the river said to him, Tosfos says, either the Malach who's in charge of the river said to him, or maybe Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair was just thinking to himself, if the river could speak, this is what it would say. The river said to him, I'm doing the will of Hashem and you're doing the will of Hashem. I'm doing the will of Hashem by flowing, and I'm certainly doing the will of Hashem. You are doing the will of Hashem to do Pidyon Shavuim, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to be successful. Rav Pinchas ben Yair commanded it to open, and he said, and if you don't open, I will pray that your waters will stop. And he realized that the power of a tzaddik can enable that to happen. And he paused, and he made a break. And then Rav Pinchas ben Yair continued, and he said, here's another Jew coming along with me, and he's bringing flour to make matzah for Pesach. Open for him as well, and open for him as well. And then there was a non-Jewish merchant who was coming with him too. And Rav Pinchas ben Yair said, it will be a chilul Hashem if he's not able to come through. He's accompanying us. Open for him as well. And the river opened for him as well. And the Gemara asks, was Rav Pinchas ben Yair greater than Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu was only able to open the waters once for the Jewish people to go through. And here Rav Pinchas ben Yair was able to open it 3 times. The Gemara goes on to give an answer. But the Kerem Tzvi says, another answer. Rav Pinchas ben Yair maybe wasn't greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. But once Moshe Rabbeinu had already done the miracle of opening the waters, then that became part of the nature of the world to some degree. So that when another tzaddik wishes to come along and perform that same miracle, it's already built into the nature in some degree. It's already easier. And Rabbeinu Yonah in Pirkei Avos writes it's the same with our midas. When a person looks at the world of midas, it seems overwhelming. But the truth is that only the first midah working on can be a challenge. As you work on one midah, and a person's brought into his nature that he can work on himself, and he's learned the skills of how to work on a midah. The first midah may be somewhat of a challenge, but with the proper guidelines it's definitely doable. But following after that, other midahs working on are much easier, because the person's already ingrained in his nature to be a person who works on himself. It's somewhat similar to, if you imagine a rocket going out. Initially, it's working against the forces of gravity till it gets out of the hemisphere. But once it goes beyond that and the forces of gravity aren't working anymore, the energy that it needs to expend is much less. It's able to flow through the heavens. So to a bird who flies, initially has to flap his wings, but afterwards it can just catch a breeze. So to a ship that goes out to sail, initially it's working against the tide, but once it reaches the high ocean, it can sail smoothly. So too with us in our midas, in our avodas Hashem. Initially it seems like it's a great challenge. But that's only the initial breaking into avodas Hashem. But once we've broken in, it becomes natural. It continues in an easy flow. And that could be why Sarah Imenu was the first time such a miracle was taking place. A woman who was akara ve'ein lavlad. She was an ayalonis. She wasn't able to have children. For her, a great miracle needed to take place. It was breaking a new nature into the world. And therefore for that, malachim, something supernatural, had to come down. But once that had come into the world, when the next generation came, and for Rivka Imenu, then the miracle was able to take place even without needing supernatural powers. They will be zoche to have the insight to work on ourselves and push through the initial challenge, so the continuation of Avodas Hashem will be a natural flow. Have a good Shabbos.